In the past, you may have been told to put a comma every time that you take a breath. Instead, put a comma after any intro stuff. Intro stuff might include an intro word, an intro phrase, or even an intro clause. Let's look at a couple of examples. Let's look at an example sentence. Remember that a sentence needs two things in order to be complete, a subject and a verb. The verb is the action word. In this case, it's made. I made a video about commas, and then we ask of the verb who or what is doing that, and in this case, it's I. Subject and verb. I made a video about commas. Now, that's a rather simple sentence. I know I'm going to see more complexity in your writing. So we might see that sentence with an intro word, like today I made a video about commas, and like I said earlier, the comma goes after the intro stuff. We might also flip this around just to double check to make sure we've put the comma in the right place. So we go from today, comma, I made a video about commas, to I made a video about commas today, and no comma is needed when we put it at the end. Commas also go after intro phrases, not just words. A phrase would be this morning. This morning, comma, I made a video about commas. Now flip test it. I made a video about commas this morning. Still makes sense, so I know that I put the comma in the right place. And lastly, we might see that intro stuff is a clause. This one's a little trickier, but you're probably already doing it naturally, so just look for it in your writing. A clause would be, when I got to work this morning, comma, I made a video about commas. And now flip test it. I made a video about commas when I got to work this morning. And you can choose which options you want, intro, phrase, or clause, depending on how many details you want to give and the style of the sentence. You can choose whether you want to put the stuff at the beginning or the end of the sentence, depending on how it lines up with your other sentences and the rhythm and flow that you're creating in your style. I'm guessing you guys are probably rather comfortable with the idea of putting commas after words and phrases, but maybe when I used the word clause or clauses, that stood out as something that you might need to review. So these are called dependent clauses, although what they're called doesn't matter so much as your ability to kind of identify or find them in order to see how they're working within your sentences, and then to be able to put the comma where it needs to go. So AWOIBIS is a very, very silly acronym to help you remember and find dependent clauses in your writing. And this is what it stands for. Oops, let me expand this a bit. After, as, while, when, although, until, because, before, if, and since. Let me give some examples. After I created this video, comma, I posted it online. As I was recording this video, comma, someone walked in. While I was creating this video, comma, I realized that my screen wasn't large enough. You guys kind of get the point. Like, although I made this video, comma, I think someday I'm going to have to remake it. Before I made this video, comma, I didn't have a video. And so on. The point is, and the reason why they're called dependent clauses, we'll go back to that, is because you can hear in those examples that you're not getting all the information, that more is coming, right? So if I say, man, because I didn't get enough sleep last night, you as the reader or listener are going to wonder, because what? What comes next? And that's what makes it dependent. In summary, and if you are taking notes, here are some little shorthand things that you can write down to help you remember this rule. Intro stuff, comma, SV. And S is subject, V is verb, so intro stuff, comma, sentence, period. If you want a little more help with AWOIBIS, just write out AWOIBIS, comma, subject, verb, period. And remember, when you flip it and you do the subject and verb first, and then you flow into the AWOIBIS, there would be no comma. You can look at more examples on my website next to this video.